Hey everyone, on this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast, Trevor finally comes back to talk about a couple local bands that we've been wanting to talk about for a long time. The first one being a death metal band from Salt Lake City called Recidivist, and the second one being a melodic hardcore band from Oklahoma called Jawline. They're great bands. I hope you guys like the episode, and please check out these bands. They're definitely worth listening to.
Somebody hit somebody!
Hey everybody, welcome to this
Got
week's
too
episode of
tired.
the welcome to this episode of the Pit Therapy Podcast. I'm tired too, dude. I don't know what I'm saying either. You guys know. I feel like this week's just a blur. Everyone's sick, the whole world is sick, and life sucks. So
No, good to know. No, life doesn't suck. Life's great. It's just I've got a new kid at home. That's why I'm exhausted. You
That's
don't
true,
have
I guess.
excuses.
Life's pretty good for you then, huh?
Oh, it's been great. It's a ton
Yeah.
of fun.
Well, good. Good. It's good to have you back. I love it when Chris comes on. Chris is a good dude, but it's good to have the OG squad back and running,
Absolutely. No, that last episode, that was fun. There was some interesting takes for sure. I took a lot of heat for my post-hardcore take.
Yeah. Which
I don't
was
know,
warranted.
No, listen, man. At this point, so much is based off of live performances. Like
Yeah.
anyone can put music out that sounds good, right? You can just do it. It's easy at this point. If you can't perform live, what do you have?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, I agree. And to me, it's not even the quality. It's like of the sound. It's not just the sound quality. It's everything from a live performance. It's ticket price. It's venue. It's engagement with crowd. It's, a whole bunch of stuff. Cause like the story so far is a perfect example. They sounded good, but it honestly just wasn't fun. Like it just wasn't fun,
Yeah,
So
100%. And that was my whole point, right? So anyone who didn't listen to the last episode, my hot take was the most overrated pop punk band right now is The Story So Far, right? That is 100% based off of live performance expectations. I just saw Parker Cannon with No Pressure when we went out to Furnace Fest. He was a little bit more active, but even then he wasn't really active kind of thing. Their shows just don't look as fun as they used to, okay? My other one was Taking Back Sunday and Brand New. Brand New, they're just POSs. I've actually never been a Brand New fan. I don't listen to those albums. I don't know why. I was Taking Back Sunday in terms of the feud, and I just never got into Brand New. But Adam sounds so bad live.
yeah.
So bad. It's not good. Like, they shouldn't be headlining shows anymore. That's my hot take.
There was like a clip where he was like falling over stuff on the stage. It's like, dude, at this point, it's not cool anymore.
Right.
Chill out.
And the one thing I will say though is when they did that music video that they shot, what was it, last year or 2 years ago, in the backyard in New Jersey or in Long Island, wherever they were, it looked insane. It looked awesome. It looked fun. That's what I would want from those shows. And you just don't get that now unless you're in the intimate setting, unless they do a secret show or something like that. And it's like true Taking Back Sunday fans who are going to go and pile on and jump and crowd surf and all that stuff. So,
Dude,
I don't know.
I just saw a clip of Bane.
Yeah.
And they were playing in some like straight edge warehouse thing, right? In like Detroit or whatever. And it was like this tiny, like in between rows at a warehouse type setting. Like it looked awesome, right? It might've been in Detroit. It looked awesome, but he was like, it's so good to be back here. Like, this is what hardcore is. Like it, cause he was saying how like somebody told him that it's cool that hardcore is having a moment. And he's like, it's always been here. Like it's always been this. And he's like,
yeah,
quit going to these huge shows. Like come back to this. He's like, I feel like we were kind of lying to ourselves, playing these big venues where we're not up with the crowd. And he's like, because this venue was just like the floor. There was no stage or anything, right? And so he was like, this is hardcore. Like, this is hardcore. And I think about all these scenes, like bands where Taking Back Sunday came from. Like, you read about Thursday playing in houses. Like, that's what this was. It wasn't these massive stadiums with seats, you know? It was a backyard. It was a basement. It was a park. It was a venue that fits 100 people. Like, that's what this is, you know?
Right. While I agree with what he says, I also semi-agree with what was said. Like, it is cool that hardcore is having a moment right now. You know what I mean? Like, it is cool that so many bands are able to go to Europe. So many bands are able to go to Japan. Like, they're traveling international. It didn't used to be like that. You know what I mean? Like, it was like the top of the top who were able to really make those tours and make them like count. You know what I mean? Now you have enough traction that they're able to take hardcore worldwide.
Yeah.
US bands are able to go there. Like, Japan is able to come to the US. You got Cruelty and stuff like that. You got the European guys who are coming over. It's really cool that it has become global in the sense that it's accessible in all parts of the world now, and that you have these tours. It wasn't like the Sleeping Giants going to Africa just because that's where they wanted to play and they did it on their own dime. You know what I mean? Like, it's making it easier for people to do that. So I do appreciate that. I will say, again, I talk about this show, Mad Ball at Kilby Court, 150, 200 cap room. Absolutely phenomenal. The best setting that you can have for hardcore. I will always say that. But I'm happy for the bands who are making a living off of this type of music.
Yeah.
And like a good living. You know what I mean? Like, they're okay to be making that living. So
no,
that's my thought.
So no, it's cool that it's become more global. I agree with that. So anyways, new tours. Me and Chris talked about that Comeback Kid one. Looks sweet. But let's see, you sent which one was it today?
Today was Obituary, Nails, and
Terror.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then Pest Control's on part of that, and I don't remember the other band who was on part of it. Spirit World, that's right.
Yeah,
how can I forget Spirit World?
I don't know.
You guys talk crap on me for Spirit World last time too. So
yeah, they're dope. They're really good live too. But this tour looks awesome, and I'm 100% going. Looks sick.
Yeah,
there's a lot of shows this spring, dude. I don't know what I'm gonna do. I'm not even like money wise, but it's just my body.
Right.
I don't know, dude.
Dude, that's how like this fall lined up. This fall was insane. That's what's happening this spring. The tour packages are all getting built. They're all getting put out there. It's going to be like a nonstop assault out this way. So
yeah, there's a couple cool local shows I'm going to be going to in the next couple months. Life Cycles is playing up here. They're really cool. Yeah, try to not get stabbed. What was the other one? Oh yeah, Virtue is playing with some Arkansas bands that I've never heard of. I'm gonna go check them out. I think that'll be fun. So, and then it's like Comeback Kid, and then in the show. And then what was the other one? I feel like another big one that was announced that we sent in that group with Chris. It was Acacia Strain, and it was like the Acacia Strain, Snuffed on Sight, Frozen Soul.
That's not coming here though, is it?
Like, what do you mean by here?
Not Texas. I don't think it's going to Texas either.
I didn't look at the dates. I just saw, dude, we got people that listen outside of Utah and Texas, so
I know.
Trying to help everyone out,
man. Go catch the Acacia Strain. Gates to Hell's on that too. I was listening to Gates to Hell today. Dude, I love that band. Their new album, I think, comes out in March. That's going to be incredible. So I caught Gates to Hell with the Acacia Strain on that Dying Fetus tour, and it was a ton of fun.
Yeah.
They're great.
There's like quite a few more of these like black metal, death metal bands that are creeping into some of these hardcore shows. Not a huge fan of that kind of music, but I appreciate the wider spectrum of music that's being played at shows. So
listen, I feel like the death influence is like absolutely primo right now. It's awesome.
Yeah.
We're talking about Recidivist today. It's one of the bands that is encapsulating this. But there's a lot of good stuff out there right now. One of like the best albums that came out last year was Upon Stone, and they're also on Creator Destructor Records that Recidivist just signed to. So there's a lot of really, really good death influenced hardcore, melodic death metal, whatever it is. It's fun right now.
No, it's cool. Yeah. I seem to be hearing a lot of it. So
yep. Yeah. And then I don't know if you guys mentioned this. I don't know if you mentioned this tour. I don't remember when this got announced, but the Torture, Sanction, Balmora, Final Resting Place. Yeah. So Recidivist is playing that show here in Salt Lake. So cool. We got Recidivist on that one, which will be awesome.
Yeah, me and Chris talked about this one a couple weeks ago, and both of us were just like not super high on Torture. Like everyone is kind of freaking out about them, but I'm all right.
I mean, they're a slam band. They're a band that is definitely like, if you want to go hit someone, you're going to go hit someone to Torture. So like, that's why they have the notoriety, but they also just had every member besides the drummer quit. So he had to recruit new members.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It doesn't sound like it was like for anything. It just sounds like they couldn't deal with touring kind of thing. And Torture blew up and they were touring a ton.
Everywhere.
So yeah, he recruited 3 new guys or whatever, and now they're slamming. So,
dude, there's a few of these bands that I feel that way about Koyo. Like, I'm going to see them on this Comeback Kid tour. This will be the 3rd time I see them in a year. Like, these guys just live on the road. It's crazy.
Dude, the Road Warriors are the ones who are killing it, though. I mean, we talked about this. Who did we talk about this with? I don't remember. But, like, the Road Warriors knocked loose. That's why they are as big as they are. They were everywhere. They took every package. They're blowing up for it. I saw No Cure 3 times last year. No Cure is everywhere. They're in Europe currently with Stick to Your Guns. They are blowing up. You know what I mean? Like these bands that just take the tours that will take them and they live on the road, they are absolutely killing it. That's what blew up Kubla Khan. That's what's blown up the Knocked Loose, like I said. Tsunami was everywhere. Like these beat down slam bands, it's because people like to hit each other. People like to get rowdy and they can do it 4 times a year to these bands. So it's awesome.
Yeah, no, dude, it's that Comeback Kid tour. Like this will be the 3rd time I see Comeback Kid in like a year and a half. 3rd time seeing Koyo in a year.
Yeah.
I guess technically the 3rd time seeing Orthodox with their half set at Furnace Fest.
Okay.
So 2.5 times.
Yeah.
So, and then first time seeing Desmadre, which I'm pumped about because they're dope.
That is sick.
So
that is sick. Orthodox might be like the favorite set I saw last year.
Oh, really?
They came through with No Cure, and who did they play with? Oh, it was the Boundaries tour. That was at Kilby, and they pushed it all the way outside the garage door, the pit. Like, it was fun. Yeah. The Orthodox set was fun.
Not like a huge Orthodox fan, but they're a band you definitely have to see live, right?
It is all for the live setting. I don't throw Orthodox on just to throw Orthodox on. I will go and see Orthodox, though, every time they come through. Yeah. Their shows are great. They're fantastic live.
Yeah, that's fair assessment. So,
yeah.
But, all right, well, let's jump into it. So we haven't done this in a little while, but we wanted to get back on track talking about some local bands. And who do you want to go first? I guess you've already brought up Recidivist, so why don't you jump into it?
Sure. Yeah, let's talk Recidivist.
Put you on the spot.
All right. This is a band who I've wanted to talk about for a long time. honestly for over a year, because we had Sean from Sewn Shut on. And if you remember, Sean was like, when we said like, what got you back into like wanting to do heavy vocals and stuff? He was like, it was seeing Recidivist again. Like that's what made me want to play Sewn Shut, like do the heavy vocals, all that stuff. Recidivist was that band. And they were like going back to kind of the DIY shows and stuff like that. One of the first shows back that I went to was that Zabalba show, and they opened for Zabalba. And so like, I've been following these guys for a long time. They released Madness Malformed at the end of last year, and I love it. Like, it's incredible. It's fun. I went to the album release show. It was awesome. I'm just super pumped for these guys. They are doing everything right, and they're kind of leading Salt Lake death metal, even like the hardcore stuff. They're probably one of the bigger bands to be going right now, and it's fantastic. So what did you think of Madness Malformed?
I think for a death metal band, it's good. I appreciate that, like, you can, some of the issues I have with death metal and all this stuff is mostly the vocals. Like Sanguis Sugabog.
Yeah.
All those guys, like, it doesn't sound like anything. He just sounds like he's like low screaming, not saying words. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like it doesn't sound like anything. I respect Recidivist because like you can actually hear the vocals. You know what I mean? It's not just low growling. There's cadence. He even goes like semi high, like higher than he normally does in a few parts.
Yeah, but it's not like deathcore high.
Right.
It's not
still
like
death
Fry
metal.
Scream high. Yeah.
Yeah. And I appreciate that. It's honestly, as somebody who doesn't like death metal, it's a lot easier for me to listen to. So musically, it's incredible though. The sound quality, the recording, like the production of the album is unbelievable for them.
Oh, dude. So they recorded with Nick Karchner here at the Grotto. So Nick Karchner is the one who records like all the hardcore in Salt Lake, all the metal stuff in Salt Lake. But then they sent it to be mixed by Ryan Bram from Homewrecker Studios. He's the one who did Gatecreeper, Morbid Visions, Terminal Nation. And then they mastered it though with, his name's Brad Boatwright. He's the dude who did Obituary, Nels, Full of Hell, like the top of the top bands now.
You can tell that there's like, well, I don't know what the right word is. You can tell that there's like real talent behind everything that went into this album, you know? Because traditionally a lot of these local bands and a lot of the stuff that I hear coming up from some of these local bands is nowhere near the level of quality that this is production wise. I think musically, sure. Right. But like a lot of the musical talent gets lost in some of these local bands because they don't have the opportunity to get produced like this or mixed and mastered and everything like this. So like, it's cool that Recidivist had the connections and stuff, but like, man, you can really hear it in this album. It sounds super polished, but not in like an overdone way. It's really impressive. It's really impressive.
Doesn't feel overproduced at all.
Right.
So
no.
I love how they did the vocals on this, where it's a little bit echoey. Like it's not just right in your face. It definitely adds to that death metal feel, kind of like you're almost in like a cave, like something's echoing back to you. And
it sounds evil, right? Like it sounds dark and evil, which is what it's supposed to sound like.
Exactly. So one of the things I was reading, Zach, their vocalist, did an interview, and he said like the songs are all like visions and these ideas of like these crazy scenes or like gruesome scenes and stuff like that. And then you get down to Madness Malformed, and what happens is like Madness Malformed is this creature that's putting those visions in your head. So like if you actually like read the lyrics of Madness Malformed, like listen, like he says like, I am the invocation and stuff like that. And he like, he calls back all the songs that they did on here. And it's really cool. So it's like this crazy this crazy nightmare taking place that's all produced by this being in Madness Malformed. And like, I feel like just listening to it and then reading that, I'm like, yeah, I get that. You know what I mean? Like, it feels like something's calling for you and stuff like that in like a gruesome way. So
yeah. The song Zombie Invocation with Forever War is incredible. It really is good. So,
dude, so good. I love
I also,
all the little clips in there too. So like you get done with Zombie Invocation, go to Drown in the Swamp, and it has the sounds of the flies.
Yeah.
Like it's just, and then you get to what is the one? Is it The Curse? It sounds like Stranger Things.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
It's like the interlude type
Yep.
thing.
Yep.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like all of these little like pieces that they're doing and adding and stuff like that. It's just, it's so good. And I mean, like I've said before, I'm not a fan of very long songs, but Cryptic Nightmare, it's a 7-minute song basically. I can sit and listen to it like the whole time. Like I listen to this album front to back and I never get bored anywhere in it.
Yeah.
Like
it
changes enough and stuff.
Yeah. You bring up song length. I do appreciate that there's a death metal band that doesn't have consistent 6-minute songs on their album.
Yeah.
Cause I do get bored in death metal, and you're right. I could actually listen to this one because it didn't feel like everything was just dragging on, unnecessarily. Like sometimes
they change it up enough, right?
Yeah.
Like you'll have slow riffs and stuff like that, but then it picks up the beat and moves forward and stuff like that. Like it changes tempo. It keeps attention. Like there's enough going on in there that I don't get bored of it. I've listened to this album like 30 times front to back over the last like month kind of thing.
Yeah. Yeah. No, dude, it's definitely cool. You can definitely hear that they're at least part of the hardcore scene, right?
Yeah.
Like these are hardcore kids playing death metal. And that's cool.
Yeah. You should their shows are fun. Like I've posted clips and stuff about that, but that first song, Zombie Invocation, where it starts with the drum beat, like during the live show, during the album release, he was like, side to side, mother effers. And like, that's the only thing that pops in my head every time I listen to this. I wish it was on the album, honestly. It was so fun. And it set the tone so well. So cool. No, I love Recidivist. They're awesome. Like I said, they're playing. Go ahead for it. Sorry.
I was gonna say I do laugh at the cover art though. The cover art's really cool.
Yeah.
But the zombie lady, there's like 2 skulls where her breasts are, and it's like, man, those are weird looking boobs. I don't know. Right. It is cool album art though. So
it's great. Yeah. No, it definitely captures everything that they talk about, what it should be about and everything. I've always loved their logo. The band name. Yeah. I've loved their logo. So
I like that there's a metal band that isn't just scribbles, that you can actually read it, So.
Yeah. So like I said, they put this out with Creator Destructor Records, which, dude, I mean, I'm sure most people know this, but this album or this record label is stacked. So this is like the Bay Area stuff. So this is where Tsunami is. This is where Gulch was, Upon Stone, End of Days. Like, it's a ton of stuff that if you're looking for, especially like that death metal hardcore adjacency, this is like the record label to go to. It's the one to listen to. The artists on there are freaking awesome. What was it called?
It's cool to see a Salt Lake City band getting a little bit bigger. I feel like that's maybe been part of like a curse from Salt Lake City in the bubble that we're in, is it's hard for bands to make this step, right? And I feel like these guys are going to do it.
Yeah. They absolutely could. They could easily be picked up on a good sized tour at any point. So,
Yeah.
and they're great dudes. Like the dudes, they're fun. They mosh. They're at almost every show. They do guest spots and stuff like that. It's awesome. So
Cool.
shout out
Yeah,
to
it's cool.
Recidivist. I think at some point we'll have them on. I've already talked to them a little bit, so I think we're going to get them on here because they've got an interesting backstory too. I was talking to the vocalist, and his first show, you would not expect what his first show was to what they're playing now, kind of thing. So
Was it like Green Day?
I'm not gonna spoil it.
No spoilers. All right, tune in.
No spoilers. We'll get them on. So
okay.
But yeah,
Yeah,
that is Recidivist. The album, again, is called Madness Malformed. Definitely go check it out. These guys they're going to do something big. So,
yeah, sick. Okay. Well, next up, the band that I want to talk about is a band called Jawline, and they are from Oklahoma. And what would you describe these guys as? Melodic hardcore?
straight up, they have themselves listed as emotional hardcore, and there's probably not a truer definition.
Right. It's true to it's not emo, right? It's true emotional hardcore.
Correct.
Like
it's
school,
not emo.
Yeah.
It's not what you would think about like My Chem. It's not what you think about like eyeliner and stuff like that. It feels very punk, punk with hardcore tendencies. And it treads those old school emotional hardcore lines.
Yeah. So I've seen a bunch of videos of these guys. I guess I kind of found them being in Texas, North Texas, close to Oklahoma. There's a lot of like, I don't know what you say.
Yeah.
Relationship between Oklahoma City hardcore and North Texas, right? I mean, bands come down here, we go up there. It happens. I think they played a show or whatever, and I saw them and I was like, man, this is kind of cool. They're a 3-piece. They're playing this kind of music. So I went and looked them up, and the first album that I listened to was the one that was released in September last year. The Maybe I Wouldn't Feel So Angry EP.
Yeah.
And instantly fell in love with them. I've said it before. I'll say it a million times. I'm a huge sucker for anything remotely melodic. Like this melodic punk, emotional hardcore, like just the first song with the guitar, like intro, just, man, it really struck a chord with me. And I was like, this is so good. Like it's very emotional. It's very, I don't really know how to explain it. It's like if Title Fight, I guess, was a little heavier. I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah. You start like pull a little bit of the shoegaze out, put a little bit of the punk back in there. And Title Fight's a good example. I hopped on Reddit and I was looking at some of the stuff. They themselves compared themselves to like Drug Church. Drug Church is a great example. I even thought like Fiddlehead, if Fiddlehead was a little bit faster, like Fiddlehead. Fiddlehead trends that post-hardcore line. If you add just a little bit more of the punk, like speed it up a little bit, you start to get into the Jawline sound.
Yeah. Yeah. So what did you, I assumed you listened to this album. What did you think of this album?
Yeah, no, I did. I've listened to this album a lot too. It took a minute. For me. Okay. I don't know why. I also love melodic stuff, but it felt like this was trying to be something. I'm not used. I'm losing my words. Okay.
So it's a hard band to talk about, dude. It really is. But in a good way, right? In a good way.
So this is what I can say. I'm not a big Drug Church fan. You know what I mean? Like I'll listen to them when I saw them at Furnace Fest. Like it was cool. Like I'd go see them again. I'm not a huge Drug Church fan. And so like I had to, when I was like trying to compare these guys to something, honestly, my mind drifted towards pop punk and old late 90s, early 2000s pop punk. I even text you and I was like, the bass sounds like Rufio.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So dissecting it in a way that like made sense to, like, it took me a minute to figure out how to listen to them and enjoy it. And I don't say that because the music's bad. I say that just because I have to make relations and I couldn't make a relationship with these guys. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
After listening to as much as I had, the process of a Feigning Soft, that song's insane. It's so good. It starts off on what you could almost put on a pop punk album and stuff like that. You listen to something like Carpenter, I can't even say this word. Compartmentalizing a strange grief.
Yeah.
And like, I think this is the one where it has like the higher scream. Am I thinking of the right song? Whoever does the higher scream in the band, I love that higher register and stuff. It doesn't happen all the time, but on one of the songs they open with it, it's great. I love it. But I almost feel like it should almost be a pop punk album, but then they lean into the hardcore with some of the vocals, the heaviness of it, things like that.
I guess Defeater might be similar. This is maybe a little more punky sounding than Defeater.
It's much more punky, but it's the same idea.
Yeah. It's slow. It's emotional. It's melodic. It's thought out, you know.
I mean, it's not always slow. That's
go really slow parts.
Yeah.
I don't know. I told you guys when I started listening to this, I was like, I can't stop listening to it because it's the same thing you're saying. Like, it's really hard to like categorize this band.
Yeah,
but there's just something about the songs and his vocals. Like, I know Chris wasn't a huge fan of his vocals. I actually love it. I think his vocals are incredible for this sound because it's emotional, right? It's pure emotion when he's screaming. And to me, it fits perfectly. Like, so it's cheesy as it sounds. It's an album that like I was listening to like with bad weather, right? Like it's rainy and I'm kind of in a pissed off mood, but I don't want to listen to like super heavy. Like it fits that kind of bill for me. You know, I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but I've just been completely entranced by this EP.
And I even said, as soon as you sent it over, I was like, yeah, I totally know why you listen to this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, this is a Kyle band for sure. Like, if you want a definition of like bands that Kyle likes, send us all of this stuff because Kyle will love it all. You know what I mean? Like, it's very punk. And I think that that's what set it apart because they call it emotional hardcore. I almost call it emotional punk in a way.
Right.
You know, it's faster. Purity is a form of social capital. It's fast.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Same with the song Traffic, which is the one you're talking about where he had the higher screams.
Yes. I was actually just going to say that.
Yeah. But like a lot of the chorus of Traffic is like, it's not a blast beat, but it's that really fast punk drumming with the hi-hat and the snare, right? It's just like a really fast drum beat. So yeah, it's very punk, but it's also very melodic. And it like you said, if you want to like an insight into Kyle's music choices in 2024, 2024 when I discovered them, and now 2025 because I still have been listening to this album almost like every day. It's this, like it's perfect. It's so good. And we talked a little bit about them being a 3-piece. I know you'd brought up like the bass. I'm actually like super happy that bands like this, bands like Goalkeeper, these 3 pieces are bringing back like very defined bass lines. Because I think it adds a lot of texture, like a lot of depth into the music, you know?
100%. And I wasn't saying that bass thing as a bad thing. Like the bass tone, like I said, it was cool because it gave it that throwback feel. Because like I said, I feel like that's early pop punk, that kind of brighter bass tone that you get kind of thing. It's not heavy. It's not crunchy. It's like a brighter tone. And it just, it stands out. So, did you listen to the other album, the 2023
Self-titled?
one?
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is a straight up emo, like screamo album.
Yeah.
Well, for the most part, they do have a few songs where you're like, okay, like I get where maybe I wouldn't be so angry or I wouldn't feel so angry. There's a few songs where you hear it and you're like, okay, I hear where their progress came from. But there's a lot of songs on this that if this is what Jawline was, I don't know that I would be as big of a fan as I am.
I was going to say, I prefer the last one that got released, but like Rat's Nest is a great song. I've listened to that song a lot. They have in the chorus part, it almost sounds like the dude from Man Overboard is doing vocals on there.
That's
and
doing
like,
cleans.
I'm a big fan. Yeah, doing cleans. Exactly.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
and I think it was
honestly like this album feels a little more just like traditional emo, which isn't a bad thing. I do think it's really good. It's just, man, I feel like the EP is just so much better. In the nicest
really
way I can say that, right? In the nicest way I can say that. I just think the EP is literally like just it's perfect in my opinion, you know?
Well, I mean, I think that that's what you would hope for as musicians. You would hope that people would resonate. Like, of course you want people to resonate with your old stuff, but you also want people to resonate with what you're currently resonating with, which is the newest music you're putting out. You know what I mean? So, but yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, cool. The self-titled sounds a lot more like drug churchy.
Yeah.
With like the more higher pitched melodic stuff, you know?
Yeah.
Whereas their EP's just like not like that. It's more, I don't know how to explain it. I'm not a musician. Go listen to it, all right?
No.
Go listen to what we're talking about.
I like it. I still even like the self-titled as well. Like I said,
I want to make that clear. I'm by no means saying the self-title is bad. I'm just saying the EP to me is like you just stepped into eternity with that EP. You know what I mean? Like it's great. It's great.
I agree. I think it's fantastic. Like I said, it took me a minute to figure out these guys just in my own brain in terms of like, how do I listen to it? Do I listen to this with a hardcore ear? Do I listen to it with a pop punk ear? Like I had to like figure out how to listen to it, which sounds stupid, right? But I don't know. That's just how my brain works.
Yeah.
So in the end, I think they're fantastic. I thought it was great.
Yeah. So I know they've played a bunch of shows. They do a ton up in Oklahoma City. It seems like they're like pretty prevalent up there. So I know they've got a bunch of local shows coming up. I know they've played a couple bigger shows. It looks like they were like on a Sparta. Like they opened for Sparta when they went through. When God's Eyes went through, they played.
They just wrapped up in Texas, actually. They just played San Antonio, Corpus Christi, and Austin through the 19th. So they were just down that way.
Yeah, they seem like super cool dudes. I've talked to them a little bit on social media. Yeah, honestly, both these bands, man, like what's funny is how different they are. And again, we talk about this all the time. It's cool. It's cool that we can go from Recidivist to Jawline. So, and people
honestly, like it's a good, they are dynamically different enough that it's actually fun to listen to both of these bands in the same day. If you want to get your heavy fix, go throw on Madness Malformed. If you want to get your, like, let out a little bit of emotion, throw on Maybe I Wouldn't Feel So Angry. Like, it is a good actual balance. Like, I enjoyed actually these two bands being together. Like, it's fun to talk about two hardcore bands and stuff like that. But when we've done like a pop punk band and then a heavy band and stuff like that, that's when it's actually like really fun. You know what I mean?
And I don't know that we've talked about a death metal band or like an emotional hardcore band. I guess Interpersonal might be the closest with their new album.
Yeah, The Long Bright Dark for sure.
Yeah.
And I mean, in terms of heavy, the heaviest band we've probably talked about is Nailed Shut out of Massachusetts. So
I like, dude, that's good callback, man. That's like one of the first ones we ever did, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. And those dudes, they're ripping right now. They're playing a lot of shows. So, but yeah, both these bands are dope. I had a ton of fun listening to them. It's been like a month of listening to it because we've been talking about doing these bands for a long time. So
seriously. Yeah. But I don't know. A lot of the bands we pick, what's funny is like, I still just listen to them all the time. And I can already tell you that I'm going to keep listening to these guys. So both of them.
Well, I told you the last time I was on, my Amazon Wrapped or whatever was like only bands that we had talked about. Like that was my top 10 was like bands that we had talked about. And it's just because like I just turn their albums on repeat. Number one, because like I actually want to have a valid opinion of what we're talking about kind of thing, but also because it's dope. I mean, listen, if you don't think our musical tastes are top of the top, like you can just F off. I'm just kidding.
You've had like a year and a half to let us know and you haven't said anything. To be honest though, if people have stuck around this long, let us know what you think of some of these local bands. Like if you're not from the area, right? If you're not from Oklahoma City and you go check out Jawline, let me know what you think. You know, if you're not from Salt Lake City, let me know what you think of Recidivist. Cause like the whole purpose of why we're doing this is we want to try and get people to listen to bands outside their scene. Still support your scene, please. Absolutely. Send us bands from your scene. We want to do that, but man, go listen to some of these bands. They're so good. Like Oklahoma's a tiny area. You know, how are you going to find out about Oklahoma City bands? Like go listen to Jawline. They're so good.
And not only that, like you don't need to listen to hardcore all day, every day. You don't need to listen to pop punk all day, every day. If you only listen to pop punk, go turn on Recidivist. If you only listen to death metal, go turn on Jawline. You know what I mean? Like
give it a shot.
Expand.
If you don't like it, cool. Like I mean, these are two bands that you and I never like. You would have never caught me being like, dude, let's talk about Recidivist. You know what I mean? Because that's just like I'm not into that kind of music, and you know you're kind of that way with Jawline and that kind of music, right? Like, but this is what we're doing. This is what this is about. Go listen to music that you're not always listening to. Go find stuff. There's good music everywhere. Like if you can find me a good polka band, I'll talk about a polka band on this podcast. All right. I'll do it. Okay.
Start wearing purple.
he's still around, by the way. I just saw a clip like last week of a show he played. So
I don't even remember. Who is it?
Go Bordello.
Go listen to Start Wearing Purple. So
yeah, do it. Seriously. Low key, I'm asking you to send me polka bands. So come on. Have you seen the video of the guy that's like, it's like a polka music, but he's got all the horns like attached to his body and he's like going like this and it's like playing the horns?
Absolutely. I've seen it because you've sent it to me probably
I've sent it to you. All right. Well, send me music like that. If you genuinely listen to polka music, let's do it. I will do a polka band. I promise. Send me a good one.
Let's do it. Dope. All right. Well, we have a couple upcoming interviews that we have scheduled and stuff. We've got to do a nostalgia band at some point. We got to get back on that train as well. So,
and I'm not going to spoil anything, but like, I'm just going to say that there's some real freaking good music about to come out.
You know what I mean? Absolutely.
That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say is that there's like some real good music coming out. So
absolutely. Some production from Earth Crisis.
Yeah, right, dude. Oh yeah, yeah. Oh, I thought you were saying Earth Crisis releasing stuff. I'm like, you're gonna get a shutdown, dude.
Production from Earth Crisis, and lots of cool stuff. So
lots of cool stuff. Yeah. So
absolutely dope. Well, we'll be back next week. Sorry for missing last week. It's been a wild start to the year. So
bye.
Peace.